I a genius? Well, the short answer is no, but I am definitely feeling that way. My name is Shannon. This is Shannon Talks Yarn, where I talk all about yarn and all from a crochet perspective. If that is your thing, I would love it if you would join me for this podcast episode. Today I am talking to you about a $2 hack that I found that makes crocheting with velvet yarn so much easier. I am going to be totally honest and upfront on this one. I discovered this purely by accident. So a month or so ago, I had purchased a mystery box of yarn off of Etsy from a fellow YouTuber, Leah Crochets, and it was a nice size box and there was quite a bit of yarn in it. And sometimes when you get new yarn, you just want to abandon your whips and jump right into it. And there was a few yarns in there that I thought really worked well together. And so I started out, and the very first thing I made was with a cake of Lion Brand mandala, and it was the ombre mandala, and the colorway was called Felicity. I had worked with this yarn, this exact yarn, in the past before, and I really like the yarn. It's got a great feel to it. It's very, very pretty. It almost has like a watercolory type of look, or I'm not sure really how to describe it. I will say it's definitely not ombre. There's no gradual gradation from color to color. It's definitely more of a self-striping, but it's like almost a stone washed look to it. So it's not solid, if that makes sense at all. Hopefully it does. If you have seen that yarn, you know how pretty it is. But I wanted to possibly combine it with another yarn. And in this mystery box, there were, I believe, 5 or 6 skeins of the pink Just Chenille from Premier that you get at the Dollar Tree. And there was a bunch of other stuff, but these are the ones I'm focusing on right now. And I decided to hold those yarns together. The Premier label says that it is a 6-weight yarn, and I do find that debatable. And then the Felicity, I believe, was a 3-weight. And I held them together. And I was doing a granny square style blanket, which sidebar hack is a great way to make a blanket when you have an indeterminate amount of yarn. Since you're starting in the middle and crocheting out, it can literally stop wherever you run out of yarn, as far as the row goes. So that is what I was doing. And when I crocheted these 2 yarns together, it was exceptionally squishy, which is always amazing. But it also made that velvet chenille yarn work up so well. And I thought, I think I'm onto something here. After that, I went ahead and broke into a sweet roll cake that was also in the mystery box and combined that with some Just Chenille that I had out of my stash. It did make a very cute start to a baby blanket, but I have not gotten back to a Dollar Tree to get more of that Just Chenille in the color that I needed in. So that whip is currently on hold. But I will say, combining those 2 thicker weights, the sweet roll was a nice, thick, squishy 4-weight. And then, of course, the Just Chenille being a 6, but more of a 5 in my opinion. It was very squishy, and the 2 yarns didn't, the colors looked very good together, but the texture of it, you could definitely tell it was 2 strands held together. But this really got me thinking, and I started digging around in my stash to see what else I had, what velvet yarns were in my stash. Lucky me, I found 3 different scrap balls of leftover velvet yarn. They were all 4-weight yarn. One was a very small amount of a beautiful teal color. I had a burgundy color and also a black. And unfortunately, these are not great colors to film with on YouTube, but they were colors I love, and I started going through to find out what could I pair this with? And I am so excited that I found what I did. Are you ready for the best crochet hack of my career so far? It is Hirschner's Afghan yarn. Hirschner's Afghan yarn is $2. It is a 2-weight yarn. It is 100% acrylic. It's a 2-ounce ball that has 244 yards in it. And it is also machine wash and dry, made in China. It is part of Hirschner's, their, what would you call it, like their house brand, just as though, Joann's has Big Twist and Michael's has loops and threads. It's the exact same type of thing. I started experimenting with the yarns that matched up the best from my stash of Hirschner's Afghan yarn. I've started a temperature blanket using these, so I've got 12 different colors available here at my disposal, and I picked my temperature blanket colors out of colors that I love. Out of the velvet yarn I had on hand, I had a black, which obviously most companies would have black, so Hirschner's, that was no problem whatsoever. Then the teal yarn I was using was a discontinued one from Hobby Lobby. It was their Velvety Smooth Aran, and I want to say it was probably called teal, but it was discontinued a couple years ago. But I did have, out of the Hirschner's Afghan yarn, the color Deep Teal, which matched up absolutely beautiful. And then the burgundy color, I always want to pronounce this word wrong, but it is also the Velvety Smooth Aran, and this one is still available, and it is called Aubergine. And the Afghan yarn that matched up the best was called Bing Cherry. And by picking these yarns, they really just blended in absolutely seamlessly, so you cannot even tell that they're in there. YouTube video I made for this, I used another scrap of velvet yarn I had, which was the tiniest little scrap. I ended up getting a swatch that was maybe 4 inches by 4 inches, and it was a Bernat baby velvet, I believe, and it might have been the color Teddy Bear. I'm completely unsure of this because the label is long gone. But I mixed it up with the Afghan yarn in the color cream. And if you've watched the video, you'll see before I started my swatch that the colors didn't really match up that well. But to be honest, once it was in the swatch, you could see the cream in like little bits, but to be honest, it just added a little bit of dimension to the project. So I would say that even if you're not getting a super close match like I did on my 3 projects, that as long as you've got something that's close to the color of your velvet, it will just blend in pretty seamlessly. So is this information Nobel Prize winning? No, it's probably not. But if you love the look and feel of velvet yarn, but absolutely hate that wormy, loopy look that you get from velvet yarn, I think this might be the answer for you. I've experimented with doing different stitches in velvet, with different yarn tension, with different hook sizes, and every time I've done a project, it has always resulted in some loops, some of that worminess. And it's been very frustrating because most of the time, you want that project to look stunning when you give it to someone or even if you're keeping it for yourself. And those loops do tend to look a little bit sloppy. And, while some people wouldn't care or wouldn't notice, I think that, deep down it does kind of bug us in the back of our mind. So a lot of people either shy away from using velvet yarn or they're just straight up like, nope, not a fan. you can't get enough yarn content, I would love it if you would pop on over to my blog, shannontalksyarn.com, and sign up for my email. We can also stay in touch other ways like Facebook and on Instagram. Instagram's a little funny. It is shannon.talks.yarn if you want to catch me over there. And I would love to see your projects. If you start a velvet yarn project and try this out, this technique, I would absolutely love to know your thoughts and how your project turned out. This has been Season 1, Episode 4 of Shannon Talks Yarn. As always, thanks for talking yarn with me.